I heard that one of my favorite composers, Clint Mansell, started his music career in the alt-pop group Pop Will Eat Itself from the 80s and 90s, I had to know the story of how he got from this to this. The lead guitarist and vocalist for Pop Will Eat Itself, Mansell, kept their music on edge, rebellious. When the band split up in 1996, the British Mansell found himself in New York, not quite sure what to do with himself, certainly not musically. A mutual friend apparently introduced Mansell and the enigmatic director Darren Aronofsky to each other, and their minds melded in the music. One of the things that Aronofsky and Mansell bonded over, according to Mansell, was that they believed a lot of film music was just wallpaper. It didn't have a life of its own. Mansell said in an interview I was reading that he's even been told by producers that, like, hey, let's make this score more neutral. And while that can be a thing for certain stories where you don't notice the score, I think I can speak for all of us here at SoundtrackScores that one of the reasons we founded SoundtrackScores was to get a community of y'all together so that we could find that film, TV, game music that was not just wallpaper, that did have a life of its own, that tends to be, at least if you're going to enjoy it outside the movie, outside the visual medium, it has to be that way. So I do really appreciate Aronofsky and Mansell's devotion to creating scores that imbue the movie with soul, right? That without that score, that movie is not that movie. Mansell is good at his craft. We got the Requiem for a Dream score from him, which we all know the main theme, Lux Eterna, which was immortalized in the epic version created by Peter Jackson's team for the trailer for Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. That version of the track being called Requiem for a Tower.
There will be no dawn for men.
If you haven't heard it, give it a listen, it's incredible. The Requiem for a Dream theme still, it has that beautiful, simple string melody that I really know Mansell for. He did that in Mass Effect as well. But he's certainly not boxed into that. I think every score that Mansell does is unique. I love the ambient droning and strings in The Fountain. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. And then not ambient at all, but just flat out gorgeous piano and strings in the soundtrack for the movie Loving Vincent. So it seems that being willing to experiment, refusing to settle for less musically, finding stories that he is passionate about and collaborators who he wants to work with, was the key for Clint Mansell to go from rock star to film music maestro.